So one of the things that we saw with Bud Light when they decided to stop pandering to the LGBTQ community was that they ended up getting boycotted by both sides, and that's how this whole nonsense started. I think the reason why Bud Light is the top tier get woke go broke right now of this year is because both sides decided to tell this company to go F itself, and now they're unfortunately seeing the downfall of their decision. Now, LGBTQ activists are now starting to try to make Target bend the knee, and I'm going to assume after enough time has passed, if Target does not bend the knee, LGBTQ are going to try to boycott Target just like they did Bud Light with the whole debacle going on over there. So I have this article here from the good old Associated Press, which says LGBTQ activists call for new strategies to promote equality after the Target backlash. So apparently, LGBTQ activists know exactly what it means to be equal. Even though throughout all forms of social media, all forms of entertainment, all forms of media as a whole, they are trying to make you bend the knee and make you submit to their rule. But of course, they're trying to make up these bullshit things about being equal. Yeah, it's always about equality until it's not. So we're going to get into this article, guys. But of course, before we do, if you guys are new here, consider giving this video a like so you can push us out into the YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing because we're on our way to 22,000 subscribers. It says, following Target's announcement last week that it removed products and relocated pride displays to the back of certain stores in the South, activists in the LGBTQ community are calling for new campaigns to convince corporate leaders not to cave to anti-LGBTQ groups. Now, the amazing thing is they tried to make it into a very general thing, right? They tried to make it into this bigger thing when it's actually a very focused thing, right? So people are having a major problem with the trans community going after children. That's essentially the big problem right now that a lot of people who are boycotting Target or people who are choosing to spend their money elsewhere, they have a problem with the virtue signaling, not only to gay people in general, because it's just sickening at this point. Everybody's vomiting rainbows, basically. But the problem is people have a big issue with the trans community grooming and aiming for kids, trying to essentially market tuck-friendly swimsuit and swim gear to kids, even though they try to say, as I've said as many times in my previous videos, Target came out and said, oh, there's no kid sizing in this clothing. But they made it extra, extra small in the adult size, and it just happens to fit kids' bodies. Okay, very interesting. You tried, Target. I see what you did there. You really tried to hide it by putting it in the adult category, but you're not playing anybody, especially since you used the underage girl on your website to market this swimsuit. That right there shows me you are trying to go for kids, even if you're trying to classify it as an adult swimsuit. You're not playing anybody. But of course, people are trying to eat it up like, well, they never said it was for kids. Come on, seriously? So it says we need a strategy on how to deal with corporations that are experiencing enormous pressure to throw LGBTQ people under the bus. You know what's interesting to me? I find it funny how they have no problem when the LGBTQ community throws massive pressure to these corporations to throw straight people under the bus by constantly having to virtue signal to LGBTQ by trying to make everybody feel like they're insane while the LGBTQ are the sane ones. At least the activist portion of them, obviously. We know the activists are not very sane. The regular community, whatever they're doing, unfortunately, they're not ousting these psychopaths from their community. So they're all kind of going to go down in the same ship, it seems. But ironically, it's very clear that they're perfectly fine with political pressuring from one side but not the other. So now that straight people are fighting back, now you got a problem. Now you got to come up with a new strategy for corporations to not cave, even though you make them cave all the time. LGBTQ activists make the corporations cave all the time. It's interesting. It said California State Senator Scott Wiener, I'm going to call him Wiener, not Weiner. I'm going to call him Wiener for a reason. D. San Francisco, a member of the LGBTQ Legislative Caucus. We need to send a clear message to corporate America that if you're our ally, if you're truly our ally, you need to be our ally, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard, he said. That whole term allyship is so cringy. It is so unbelievably cringy. I would not want to be called an ally for anything. Honestly, I would not want to be called an ally for literally anything other than maybe the protection of kids and animals. Those are probably like the two biggest things for me that I would be calling myself an ally for. But aside that, like I really just don't give a shit. Allies to an LGBTQ community, I don't give a fuck. Ally to other races, I don't give a fuck. Like you are more than welcome to do your own thing. You are adults. You can make your own choices. You can make your own decisions. You don't need me to be an ally for you. Now, if you want to talk about those two other subjects, I'm all for it. But other than that, you're on your own. That's the whole point of being an adult. You're on your own, figure it out. You don't need no fucking ally. Figure it out. It says, while the retailer said its actions were aimed at the ensuring the safety and well-being of its employees after protesters knocked over pride signs and confronted workers in stores, the controversy comes at a time when conflict over LGBTQ rights is simmering. That's interesting. You never cared about the safety of your employees when they were getting rioted 24/7 during the George Floyd Summer of Love, but again, that's neither here nor there. Nearly 500 anti-LGBTQ bills have been introduced in state legislatures. Oh, Associated Press, you mean the 500 plus anti-underage LGBTQ transitioning bills? Is that what you mean? The bills that are meant to protect kids from adults like you, from the writers who are perfectly fine with grooming kids, perfectly fine with trying to make kids mutilate their bodies and cut off their titties and cut off their dicks and everything like that. Like that's essentially what you're fine with, and that's what those bills try to protect. But again, you're trying to make it into this bigger thing. You're trying to overarch the story into just anti-LGBTQ when it's got nothing to do with that, and it's got everything to do with protecting kids against groomers who are trying to mutilate their bodies and mutilate their brains to turn them into future allies to this cause, relying them on medicine for the rest of their life. Not only that, the chances of them becoming depressed and suicidal is now virtually through the roof at this point once they have to deal with all this stuff. So again, you can say it's anti-LGBTQ, but most people know exactly what the truth is. It says at least 18 states have enacted laws restricting or banning gender-affirming mutilation for transgender minors that don't exist. Transgender minors do not exist. It is a thought put in the minds of children. The number of people who actually have gender dysphoria is such an incredibly small number. It is nowhere near the amount of numbers that are coming out right now in the public, because people have realized that if they come out as trans, they are now protected class. They are now able to walk around with such hierarchy, such power, that of course they're going to come out as trans, because it's just an easy way to virtue signal. It's an easy way to get what you want in life. You can get money, you can get clout, fame, all that stuff on TikTok, everything. If you just come out as trans, that's it. Just bend the knee to the mob and you will get what you want. So of course, all these people who are lonely in their lives, these people who have nothing in their lives, they're going to do what they got to do to try to get the attention that they're looking for and the money that they're looking for. And now coming out as trans, Dylan Mulvaney has proven that if you do so, you will be rewarded for it. It says the hostile environment has prompted some groups to hire security consultants to advise them on activities planned for Pride Month, which begins on Thursday. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. We're armored up, ready to go. We are forced to think differently about how we handle security at our events, whether or not we can post our staff's names and emails on our website, said Jansen Wu, executive director of GLBTQ Legal Advocates and Defenders, a nonprofit legal rights organization based in Boston. Deborah Porter, executive director of Pride Northwest in Portland, Oregon, said that there have been discussions about a possible boycott, a letter writing campaign, and other actions directed at Target, but plans for an organized protest haven't yet materialized. Because the news is fairly new, more actions may be announced, especially as Pride Month gets here, said Porta. Target isn't the only company grappling with public criticism. Now, again, you realize how it's amazing that the left is perfectly fine. Like, the LGBTQ is perfectly allowed to boycott something, right? They're not called extremists if they boycott stuff. They're not called terrorists if they boycott stuff. They're encouraged. They're allowed to do this, right? But then when other people do it, those people are called bigots. Those people are called terrorists. Those people are called every name under the sun, because it's not allowed for anybody else other than LGBTQ to be proud of something, to speak out against something. They're the only ones that are allowed to do it, which is why I created the bigot army to begin with, because we are people who are tired of this fucking nonsense that we have to deal with, not only in corporations, but in media and entertainment as a whole, and we will continue to use our platform to speak out against it and to shine light on it, because that's what we really need to do. We need to shine a light on this nonsense that we deal with every single day. It says Bud Light is still dealing with the fallout from its partnership with the good old grifter Dylan Mulvaney, who in April posted a picture on Instagram of a beer can with his face on it. In response to the hate-filled and transphobic, aka bullshit backlash that followed, the company said it never intended to be part of a discussion that divides people, but didn't directly address the rhetoric or signal clear support for Mulvaney. Yeah, okay, sure, there was signal clear support. Okay, I love the choice of words there. Signal clear support. I fucking hate the Associated Press. I swear to God, they're the most bullshit news organization. I think the only ones that's worse than them is Kotaku. Seriously, because I don't know if anything really topples Kotaku. But that's the article for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.